you got a lot of dates coming up. City Winery in New York, City Winery in Philadelphia, the Hamilton Live, the Vogel at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. All these dates. If you live on the East Coast, Fall River, Massachusetts, Northampton, Massachusetts, Louisville.
Oh, that sounds fabulous.
Kentucky.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. You got a good 20 dates here.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Bettye LaVette, BettyLaVette.com has all your dates at all times. I read the back part first.
Oh my goodness.
I read the second half first.
Well, that was chicken out. That was the way I wanted to live it. If I had lived that last part first, I could have breezed through that first part. You know, last week AARP called me the Grandma Moses of music.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from Reelblack, and today we have a great honor, great privilege of being with one of the great unsung, legendary vocalists, interpreters of our times when it comes to music. I'm not even going to say R&B. I'm not even going to say blues, but she's one of the best, and I'm so grateful to have her back on the show. She was one of our very first guests on Reelblack TV back in 2006, 2007, somewhere. I'm not trying to date myself either, Betty. So a while back, we did an interview with Miss Bettye LaVette, and she's with us again now. She's got a new album called LaVette, and it's a tribute, an album consisting of cover versions of songs written by American musician, singer-songwriter Randall Bramblett. And it's produced by Steve Jordan and includes collaborations with Pedrito Martinez, Steve Winwood, Anthony Hamilton, Ray Parker Jr., Charles Hodges, John Mayer, and John Baptiste. Now, I strongly suggest that you put this on your playlist. Listen to this album. It's great. But even better, if you live in the North Americas, the East Coast primarily and South, you'll have a chance to see Bettye LaVette touring live this whole summer through July into August at the City Wineries, Hamilton Live in Washington, D.C. You just have to go to our website. But without further ado, I bring to you Miss Bettye LaVette.
Hey,
How you doing? How you doing, love? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. You taught me so much.
Oh,
you were one of my first interviews, so.
Okay, well, I have more lessons for you today.
Okay.
All of the people you named are guests on the album.
Yes.
And all the songs that I'm doing are songs that were written by Randall Bramblett. Pat Boone is a cover artist. I am a song interpreter.
Okay.
Now
I appreciate that correction. I appreciate that correction, and I respect it. So now, for those who don't know the difference between Pat Boone and Bettye LaVette, what goes into putting an album like this together? How do you choose the songs, and what attracted you to Mr. Bramblett's work?
I was working 8 years ago. I met him. I've only met him once. I've never seen him since that night. I was coming into the club. He was on, and he was playing guitar and singing. And I didn't understand what he was saying, but I liked the way it was phrased, and I liked the melodies. So I asked my road manager if he would ask him if I could speak to him after the show. So he came after his set, and I introduced myself. I said, I love what I heard, and I don't even know what I heard because I really didn't. So I said, would you do other people do your tunes, or, are they just for you, or would you send me some? And he said, anybody who wants to do them, or anybody who will do them, I think he said. But I asked him to send me some songs. I think he sent maybe 5. And I recorded 2 of them right away. I was getting ready to do an album with Joe Henry. And we did 2 of them. One of them came out on the subsequent album. But I just recently, I was just with Verve, and then they asked me to leave, doggone it. And I knew I wanted to do these songs by Randall, and I knew I wanted to do another thing with Steve Jordan. So we were calling around, and Randall Bramblett and I together have sold so few records. His record company wouldn't even pay for us to do it.
Mm.
So Steve Jordan called me and he said, "Why don't you find you a writer to write you some songs, or a writer to write with?" And I can't write. And I said, I actually have a writer whose writing I love. And I sent him maybe 15 of his songs. And he said, "I like them all." He's just, I think, the best writer I've heard in 30 years. Now, I've just done the first 4 shows doing the songs, so it's all new. I have a new band, the lyrics are new, everything is new. All this is happening to an old woman. But I explained that Randall and I, our ages are very close together. I'm a little bit older than him and everybody. But we've had the same kind of career, you know. Everybody constantly telling him what a brilliant writer he is. Everybody constantly telling me what a great song interpreter I am. And nobody's ever heard of he and I. So I told Steve, as I sent him the songs. He loved them. And he said, "I'll pay for it and put it on my label." I said,
Mm.
because
What a
these
blessing.
things now, I mean, maybe when we recorded My Man in 1962, the whole session cost $150.
Right.
And that was mostly in Scotch. But these things today are a little bit different. I mean, everybody has a manager, everybody has this bottom line. So I was grateful for Stephen literally just made the music go again, because I wasn't going to go through all this. Well, I wasn't gonna spend a dime. I
Hmm.
would not spend 1/4 on everybody else's opinion. I have given my entire youth to it. That is enough.
Mm.
So finding someone to spend the kind of money that it requires to record me these days was just going to be quite a feat, and I just didn't feel up to it. So when he called, I was very grateful and very excited, and it's just exciting and wonderful to work with him. Anyway, he knows every musician in the world,
Hmm.
living and dead.
Yeah, Steve Jordan from the World's Most Dangerous Band with the David Letterman show. So great
Yeah,
drummer, and with the
he-
Rolling Stones.
yes, he is now.
Yeah,
Yes, he is.
yeah.
And I'm just so proud and privileged to be with him, and that he seems to like the way I sing fairly well.
Now, is that a recurring theme? I'm plowing through your book. I read the back part first.
Oh my goodness.
I read the second half
Wait,
first,
well,
but
that was chicken out. That was the way I wanted to live it. If I had lived that last part first, I could have breezed through that first part.
well, it seems like you have a lot
Like,
of
you
angels in your
cheated.
life.
You cheated.
I'm sorry. I'm going through stuff now. Honestly, I'm close to the same age that you were when we first met, 16, 17 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I'm 53 now.
Oh, whoop-de-doo. My daughter just turned 63.
So
Leave me alone, child. You better go on and try to finish growing up.
well, give me some life lessons then. It seems like
I just
it
gave
seems
you
it
two
seems like
when we
you
opened the show.
from your lifestyle, it seems like there was a different level of faith or whatever. You were just rolling with the punches or so. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But
I'm not really sure. And I think that's why I never want to be young again, because
mm,
you're never really sure when you're young. And it requires a lot of trial and tribulation, I believe, to really be sure. I don't care whether you're you've just gotten a law degree, or if you just become a doctor or a scientist. It has to don't work a lot of times for you to learn and for you to grow, and you hopefully will have good mentors. I haven't been fortunate in the business, but the people that I've been fortunate enough to have connected with me and in my life have just been, uh, gosh, they've only been like maybe less than 10, but they've all played such a significant role and did such and caused me to make such big steps. As stupid as I was when I first started this, if I had to take a step at a time, it would have taken more than 60 years. The only
Mm,
thing really that's ever slowed me down was me, just in that I wasn't taking possession of myself. I never had any problems with drugs or living in cars or whatever. It's just that I didn't appreciate my worth or what I had to offer for a long time, because I thought that the only way it would be worthwhile is if I was huge, like all of my schoolmates and neighbors from Detroit from
mhm,
1962.
mm.
And it took me, gosh, it took me 25 years to get over that. But it goes back to my manager, Jim Lewis. You see, the book is dedicated to him. He
Yes.
told me, you may never be a star, but if you will do what I am telling you and learn these things, you can work for the rest of your life as a singer. And I know he didn't naturally mean that I would have to work every day of my life like this,
Right.
but I'm able to walk into huge situations because I haven't been confined, actually, because I haven't been confined to a hit record. I'm not uh, stopped in the name of love, or midnight train to Georgia, or I am not a hit record. I'm like, can she do this part? Can she sit in at the Kennedy Center Honors in a few days? Can she learn to lead rolling bubbling brown sugar in a week? Can she, so I've been forced to be so utilitarian till I messed around and become good.
Well, you were around a lot of good people. Detroit,
Yes,
I
yes.
I look at how many people that you've crossed paths with that were you were intimately connected to, and it's just uh impressive. It's a smorgasbord of talent, just incredible levels of talent. What what was it about Detroit at that time and place, the early 60s, you feel you might feel brings brought out so much musical talent to the world?
Oh, I don't know, other than that blacks have always been extremely musically talented, and we've had to be extremely enterprising. And when you say those two things, you're saying very Gordy.
Okay.
And if in 1962, from 1962 to about 65, or maybe a little later, to become a singer in Detroit was virtually nothing to do. I mean, Smokey Robinson lived across the alley, across the street from him, and on the next block, Aretha grew up and was living. Della Reese wasn't there by the time I started singing, but she grew up in the same neighborhood I did. It at one point, excuse me, at one point, you know how it used to be the old adage, all blacks know each other?
Hmm.
Well, in 1962, we all had to go to the same schools, the same bars, the same restaurants, the same hospital. Yes, we knew each other. So everybody that you know from that boom time in 1962, I think I mentioned in the book, I've either seen them drunk or naked or broke or homeless or all of them at one time.
And that makes you a survivor.
Indeed, it did, and I learned a lot from my friends that I miss so dearly that did not make it because it was how's that movie that just won all the awards? For some of us who had never been anywhere, never had anything, it was everything, everywhere, all at once. I
Wow.
was the first in my family to make $100 in an hour.
Well, let's get into this album a little bit because I want people to hear it. I mean, I don't want people to just go past this because, and I have like a little radio play thing. I've got to devote an hour to your music one day
Oh,
because
that would be great.
I think people need to hear it. We just do things by request, so I have to slowly, like, this podcast episode is sort of going to be the gateway drug to Miss Bettye LaVette's music.
Well, you
But
don't have you thought about having uh, days or just a show in the middle of your whatever? Wednesdays we're going to be doing new artists, or Wednesday we're going to be doing artists you've never heard of, or you know, a
try
feature
to. It's
thing.
hard when it's by request. It's like a clubhouse thing, so we take songs by request. So not like we have some people that are really really versed in popular music, and I'm sure they could give your whole discography,
Yes.
but we don't want them to dominate the show, and then it just
Ah,
becomes like a ping pong match between me
uh-huh.
playing the songs. But I
Uh-huh.
want to introduce them to stuff. I think Sooner or Later is the track that my listeners would most appreciate because it's got Anthony Hamilton, Ray Parker Jr., and Charles Hodges on there.
Uh-huh. Well, I
You know,
would want them to listen to the lyrics as well because it's a warning and an admonishment to to us.
mm,
And sooner or later ain't for cute. It's sooner or later we need to open our eyes. Sooner or later we're gonna run out of alibis. Sooner or later I hope we'll live and learn. Because sooner or later it's gonna be our turn to cry.
mm.
It's not about a love affair. It's about us.
Preach, preach. I love it. And then it's followed up by Plan B, which is, I guess, that feels like the single. I don't know. Is there a
Uh,
single on this?
well, that was the first single, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was the first single.
No, I'm really enjoying the album. I enjoy all your work, to be
Oh,
honest
thank
with you.
you,
And I feel it.
baby.
Like I said before, it's an honor and privilege just to sit with you.
Thank
And
you.
my
I'm
intention is
so
not to.
glad for what you're doing and bringing. Uh, my husband and I have this conversation continuously, and probably had it earlier today. My husband is Irish, and I
Mm,
tell him that had the playing field been level, everybody goes on about how great I am or whatever. What if everyone had been allowed to hear me? What
mm,
if Barry Gordy and people who were with Jerry Wexler at Atlantic were able to walk into WABCs all over the world and add my music the way they added the Beatles music and the Rolling Stones music and whatever? That
mm.
was really quite a thing. At one point, there were people who were paying people not to take Barry Gordy's money. Well, if you give when payola was around, well, if he gave you this much, of course, Barry couldn't come up at that time with that kind of money. If he gave you this much, I'll give you this much, not to play his.
Wow.
And none of that's ever considered.
No, I mean, you're giving me something to think about. I mean,
Oh, well,
because
somebody needs to write something about it. If I had the patience, I'd write about it.
well, I mean, you're talking about social injustice ultimately, and the nature of what we say on the channel, the nature of white supremacy. I don't think they want a level playing field.
Well,
Um,
I don't know. I think now, though, there's no choice. When the internet started to be common 22 years ago, the
mhm,
first thing I got from it was an attachment to my 5 fans who either were from here or from England, who had gone all over the world in these 60 years and who knew my music and had taken it there. But connecting all of them, you had to do it was like Barry Gordy and the very first Motown. getting your record out to all these cities without a distributor in your car took
Mm,
forever. You know, it's not the level, the playing field was not level. RCA could get theirs to everybody that day. Here's a
right.
new record today. You know, very good. It's like, here is what we released this month, and we'll get to from Detroit to Georgia by the end of the summer.
Well, that makes me think of another Detroit person though. Aretha Franklin. She started out making music for the mainstream, but she didn't have her big success until she went to Muscle Shoals and started making music that was more specifically geared to a black audience. In my experience, I mean, you were there. I mean,
Well, at
if
first, I mean,
so, we're talking about marketing also.
well, we did, gosh, maybe almost 10 years without a reason.
Yeah,
And that's the way me and probably the rest of the females in Detroit look at it. We did almost 10 years without her. And then because she was there in the biggest Baptist church in Detroit, her father's church, New Bethel, everyone knew who she was and everyone knew how good she was.
mm,
But she was very entrenched in gospel for a very long time. And then when she did come out, it was at the very right time because it was when the biggest record company promoting Black music, Atlantic, was hooked up with the biggest Southern soul, as they call it, sounding rhythm section. So it was the absolute right time. And
okay,
I had made the very wrong move of leaving Atlantic. And then what biggest mistake I've ever made in my career.
mm,
And when Jerry Wexler and Ahmet Ertegun started to be on the outs, Jerry Wexler was on my side, Ahmet Ertegun was on Aretha's side, and all of the British invasion side. And so there was a very sincere, I think that Jerry Wexler probably would have recorded me, Ruth Brown, and Ray Charles for the rest of his life, maybe. No, I won't say that. But they did feel very different about music. And Ahmet Ertegun made Atlantic bigger because
right,
he added these other things to it. But it took, that was black radio was beginning to dissipate, and you had to be in certain places, and I
right,
could not get in them and stay long enough. I got into all of them, but I couldn't get into all of them and stay long enough. But it
right.
has given me let's call it a retrospective career, because that whole career now has caught up with me. And record historians like my husband are looking into what I've done, and all of that is adding to my viability now.
Right. I mean, no, but is I mean, I would love if there was volumes and volumes of recordings of you from the 60s and the 70s. You know, unfortunately, we don't have those, but you've
I
been
don't know what
really
you mean,
busy.
volumes and volumes.
Well, I mean, you've been really busy the last 9 or 10 years
But I
putting
mean,
out.
what do you mean when you say
Oh, I'm
volumes?
saying, you were saying earlier, if things were different, if there
Oh, you
wasn't,
mean the notoriety from it?
yeah, I mean, as a fan,
No, the tunes are available.
okay,
And you know what? When this started 22 years ago, I had never received a royalty check in my life,
okay,
because all the companies now is say the only record labels I haven't been on is Capitol and Mercury.
mhm,
All the rest of them I've been on. But I owed everybody that I had been with who had done an album or 45s or anything. So no one owed me any money,
mm,
because I was taught by several of the other smart people I was able to be raised by. The first thing you do is borrow all the money you can, and then if they sell a record, you can pay it back. If not, they can write you off as a tax loss, and
right,
then you pay it back as the record sell. But in my case, by the time this fifth career, as I call it, 22 years ago started, I hadn't received a royalty check up till then. But in these 22 years, the popularity that the internet has brought me has allowed me, curious people like you, to buy up all of the products that all these people have. And now I don't owe anybody anything from that period. So any recordings that are coming in now, I'm getting royalty checks from my first record and from things that people have done over, and albums that people never heard of, where they've taken a whole bunch of old folks and stuck us all together, and all kinds of royalty checks from
Right.
everywhere.
That's fantastic.
Some
Now, is
of
there
them
a
may
chance,
be 43 cents, but
as the artist, I know a lot of artists are getting the rights to their masters back. Is that something that you're in line for, or that you're
no, because I didn't own anything. No, it's your money, it's your product, because I didn't want it to be my money.
right?
They
But
had my whole youth.
mm,
No money. That wouldn't you think that would be putting upon a little I'm only 5'4".
well, I mean, but how does that work though? I mean, a lot of artists are getting their royalties or the rights to their music back.
It
Um,
depends. If they owned it in the first place, and I
okay,
don't do that. I mean,
yeah,
I
contracting.
Randall Bramlett owns these tunes. He
Okay,
published them, and he gets all of the royalties from them because he published them. Now, if I
okay,
don't sell any, of course, he doesn't get anything. But if suddenly 60 years they all start to sell, he'd get his money.
gotcha.
I don't get any money until I pay back the money that Steve Jordan spent to make the record.
Okay,
But
which is
that's cool with me.
well, that brings us into the tour.
It's like a loan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people they're trying to call out the record industry. I didn't know what your stance was on that,
No, I don't
but it works for you.
produce. I don't. I'm not a record company owner or maker. Or I just sing, and
Gotcha.
that is all I want to do.
So as we're recording this, it's going to air July 1st. So we got a lot of dates coming up. Our City Winery in New York, City
Uh-huh.
Winery in Philadelphia, the Hamilton Live, the Vogel at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. All these dates. If you live on the East Coast, Fall River, Massachusetts, Northampton, Massachusetts,
Oh,
Louisville,
that sounds fabulous. I
Kentucky.
haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay, yeah, you got a good 20 dates here.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Betty LaVette.com has all your dates at all times. Um, so yeah, so I mean, you performed last weekend. I mean, how the show's been going?
Oh, these were the first shows, and I was greatly encouraged. We were at the Freight and Salvage in San Francisco, and the Triple Door in Seattle. And my granddaughter, grandson, and daughter came from Detroit and that Battle Creek, and my grandson just moved to Portland, and so that was a thrill. And then in San Francisco, all the people who started this fifth career for me, my Kappas from the Blood Agency, and so many other people, they were all there, and it's just been wonderful. And of course, everybody is so surprised. They're like, "Look at this old woman."
You're killing it. This woman with the big voice that you'll never forget once you experience it. So
You know, last week AARP called me the Grandma Moses of music. I
so
loved it.
so are you ever gonna stop?
Shoots, of course I'm ever gonna stop. Soon as I would stop myself as soon as they let me make enough money to be comfortable stopping. But
Okay.
until then, I will do it the best I can. I'm not for rolling on the stage in a wheelchair.
Mm.
My husband, we've had to take my heels down from. Can you see my fingers?
Yeah, I can see it.
There now we're going down a little bit because I love to dance and I love to move, and that's the way I've always done my show. So I wouldn't be able to do my show from a walker or wheelchair, and it would just, I wouldn't be happy.
Right.
You know, I like doing my show. I like prowling the stage, and I like hollering real loud. And if I couldn't do the show that way, just to have people be thrilled when they say Bettye LaVette and they wheel me out in a wheelchair, I'm
Yeah.
grateful. And the people that I've seen do it, I was grateful to see them. Like when BB King was confined to a wheelchair. But mostly what he did was stood up and play guitar. But I
Yes.
be kicking my legs all out, messing with people and whatever. And I like that.
Any thoughts about Miss Turner? I mean, you kind of in the same vein, moving
Oh,
around.
her career has been more aligned with mine than any of my other female contemporaries. Um, I was telling you about the shoes. When I
Mhm.
came back from the road just now, my husband had these. He'd ordered me the 6 pair of just stunning shoes, but the heel was lower. So
Mhm.
I was telling Steve Jordan, I got to tangle with my ego for a moment and see what I want to do in them. But when they were showing, of course, uh, film clips from Tina doing everything because she had passed away. And they were showing the one from when she went to Broadway to see meet the cast of
Mhm.
the show about her.
Mhm.
First time in 60, almost 65 years, I've ever seen Tina Turner in flats.
Mhm.
But it helped me a lot. It helped me a great deal.
With
It
the
really
ego.
did. Yes.
If Tina can wear flats,
You
I can
gotta
wear
let
flats.
you gotta let some of it go at some point. I'm trying to be grateful for not having to use a walker or crutches or a cane or whatever. So I'm
Okay.
telling myself, stupid broad, going and wear the lower heels and sing and shut up.
Are you putting songs in the can so that you can slowly do this, or is it a project by project basis? Like, how much energy goes into each project? How many songs do you record versus how many get released?
I don't do any more than they need, and I only do those 2 times. I do
Mm.
my albums in 4 days, and I do about three a day. And they're songs, Mike. They're just songs. So it can't be like a life's work. It's a song. So I
Okay.
do the songs, and my husband, who started out as a fan, has 9 more albums lined up for me. I don't know how long he thinks I'm going to live, but he has all these categories of songs, and he says, "Honey, come and listen to this." And I say, "Yeah, I really like that." And if I really like, he said, "Would you sing it?" I say, "Yeah, I'd sing that. I really like." Puts it in this category, and this goes on, or has gone on now all day long that I'm at home for 22 years. He really likes music. I really like old movies.
Mm. Yeah, what's a typical day when you're not on tour? What do you like to do?
Oh goodness, um I have all of this wonderful garden that I just had planted of all kinds of different daylilies and just foreign looking lilies. And they've just come up just in the time for me to go. So Kevin's been sending me pictures. And we have 2 cats. We did have four. And anything you have live, the plants or the animals, what it's just like having children. So
Mm.
like, and when I'm home, um, I think that might be something that I also admired and picked up from Tina. The one day that I spent with her was spent in her home, and
Mm.
how what an asshole I acted. And she was he calls her Ann. He called her Ann at home. She was cooking the whole I was there and doing other little stuff. And when I'm home, I'm the first in my family born in the Michigan. Everybody else from Louisiana. So I cook every day that I'm here, and after I rest a while,
Mm.
and I work with the plants as much as I can. But I have to save enough energy now to do these darn teenage tunes that Steve Jordan has produced on me. But I like being at home. People say, "What's your favorite place to go?" And I say, "Home."
Mm.
And I like being at home. I have everything that I want here. My husband rolls joints really proficiently and hauls champagne. And I
Yeah.
sit here and drink champagne, feed them, and keep my house. I like it. I have at least 50 plants here in the house. And I have a gang of them out there. I have a lovely home, and I love being here. And as I said, I love old movies, and I
Mm.
love TV. I watch Bar Rescue every day.
What show?
My grandson has just become a professional bartender and graduated from the Napa Valley College of Wine, and now he is
Congrats.
a professional sommelier.
Some-
Yes.
Congratulations. Wait. So I know you've been open. You've talked about your marijuana use. Um,
No, 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 no. I smoke marijuana, do not use it.
okay.
You know what? You and I are gonna have to get with words because the
Okay.
simple use or misuse of a word
Uh-huh.
can change the entire thing.
Okay.
I've smoked marijuana since I've smoked it longer than I've been singing, and I've been singing 62 years.
Okay.
So I've never stolen anyone's purse to buy any or went into a dark room and labored over not having any. But I have made it a plan in the 62 years to always know someone who had enough money to buy something and give me some. So,
Okay. Well, we need to, have you been in High Times yet?
no, I just want them to say that I was high if they're saying she was high. Honestly, I bought it. I buy their magazines and they don't even mention me. Oh,
You
I'm
you need to
probably
be on the cover
well
right
next year.
now.
Well, I wanted to be. My great desire is to be on the cover of High Times and AARP.
I
Those
I
are
I feel those will manifest very, very soon.
they
So
better try to get their ducks in a row.
so I'm in a state where you need a medical card, but you're in a state where it's available freely now through these dispensaries. Has the quality gotten better over the years?
Oh
I'm
well,
just
I don't
curious
know
about that.
because I've smoked so long. So now it's strictly about does it make you high or whatever. But when you've smoked this long, you look at it differently. I mean, when people say, "Oh, I smoked so much," and I can't even imagine that happening to anybody. That's
Mm.
what I wanted to do.
But when you had to pick the seeds out on the album cover, was it a different grade than what you get now at the
I
dispensary?
think that marijuana is much stronger. I think it's
Okay.
much stronger now. I can tell by the way it cuts through my champagne.
That's your mix. That's
And
how
you
you
know, when we did the Bob Dylan album, Stephen and I, he asked Keith Richards to come and do a guitar solo for me, and he did. And when he walked in, we resulted in knowing that had we known each other in the '60s, we really would have gotten a lot of trouble. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning. He walks in with his drink in his hand, and the guy following who rolls his joints and gives them to him. Anyway, I had my own doggone joint, my own drink. But we sat there on that couch together all day long, and you would have thought we had known each other forever. Well, we're both old. We were both smoking a joint. He was showing me, he gave me my first lessons on a hitter about it not choking you. And Mike, he said, "Here, you draw it in. When you hit it, you draw it in. Then you blow some of it out, and then you inhale it." I said, "Baby, no one can afford to just blow it out just cause, but you and everybody else can't afford to do that."
You want all the smoke.
But we had a great time,
I
and I
bet.
was so grateful to him.
I bet you got some other heavy hitters on this new
On the new
album.
one? Okay, well,
Yeah.
we've got this little thing. I don't it doesn't mean anything or add up to anything, but it's the number 18.
Okay.
When um, John Betty's father was 18, he was in my band in New Orleans.
Wow.
When Ray Parker Jr. was 18, he was in my band in Detroit before he went to LA.
Wow.
Who else we got? When Steve Winwood was 18, he covered my Let Me Down Easy.
Wow.
When Steve Jordan and Randall Bramblett were 18, they went to Electric Ladyland for the first time. And I just thought that was awesome.
Teens buzzing around.
It does, as I said, it doesn't add up to anything or mean anything. We just
Well,
found it.
now you got mystical though.
And James Carter also, who was about 18 when I met him in Detroit, working in a little joint for $50 a night. Me, not him. He'd come and sit in with me. And I told him I'd buy him a drink or give him $5. I've forgotten which one. Every time he played me this perfect saxophone solo on Every Day I Have the Blues. And then he started blowing the people out of the room. It's kind of like first time Miles went and sat in with people in Harlem. So all of those people, the age 18, has had something to do
with this album, LaVette. Big Mix, who's one of our viewers, wanted to know about Johnny Mae Matthews. Do you have any Johnny Mae Matthews stories?
She's was my very first producer, and she was a big regional and local artist. When I first started singing, she was one of the voices you heard on Black radio every day locally. Most cities that had a Black radio station had. I remember when Jimmy Stewart, what was his name? Wasn't it Stewart? No, Billy Stewart. He was like just a big favorite in Harlem on Black radio, and then he got to be bigger. And Johnny Mae Matthews was like that in Detroit, and my mother loved her. So needless to say, when I came home and said I met Johnny Mae Matthews, and she said she's going to make a record on me.
Wow.
I mean, talk about a hush came over the audience. What? And in about 10 days, that was so.
So you still have that same ethic, what she taught you then to make records quickly.
She sung the song to me. I had never been on a stage. I had never been in front of a microphone before the day I went before the microphone to make My Man. And then that next week, because you got test pressings and use those on the radio, I was being played all that week. So that weekend I had to do Record House. And that was the first time I'd ever walked up on the stage before and sung into a microphone. And the band, with a live band, the band said, kick it off. I said, they said, what do you want to do? And I was so proud of myself, of My Man in an E flat. Like everybody knew what My Man was. But I mean, they had been told. But I just thought that I didn't know. I thought everybody just knew it.
Right.
And they said, kick it off.
Now, you were still in high school when you dropped. Oh, I'm sorry. Kick it off.
This is a pause. And the audience is murmuring, I have no idea what they are talking about. Marvin Gaye is sitting at the corner of the stage, which was a little high rise. And his maybe second record at Motown had just come out that Friday. They released everything on Fridays. And I can't remember whether it was Stubborn Kind of Fellow or Hitchhike, maybe Stubborn Kind of Fellow. And he just kicked on the side of the stage. And they started playing. And I started singing. I knew how to sing a song, but I didn't know how to get them started. He teased me about that for my entire career.
Yeah, well, Marvin was great.
Absolutely.
Do you have a story to share about him?
Well, that one.
That was it? Okay.
Well, that was one.
Okay.
But he was just, I said, I think that he maybe and Tina both were the most gentle, soft-spoken, talented people I've ever known. They both Tina never spoke as loud as I'm speaking to you now, and neither did Marvin, in real life. And I just always admired that about them both because I've never been able to speak softly.
Mm, mm. But being, I mean, so when you put the first record out, My Man, what was the reaction like, not just among your family, but among your classmates and peers? Like, I didn't have that.
Oh, everybody was absolutely stunned. Mother Ernesta said that I was definitely the most likely never to do anything in my life at all. And we're having a fourth and fifth grade family reunion in August, or class reunion in August, and I'm going to go to it. I was
That's great.
really not. I was not the child in school. I never wanted to be a child, and I wasn't good at it, and that always got me in trouble.
Mm. So looking back at this life, this is your fifth incarnation,
Yep.
touring, touring the world, troubadour, singing songs, outliving so many other people who were equally great. What is life telling you now at this point? When you look back and you see how things weave, because I'm going, like I said before, I'm going through it right now because I'm in the midst of some ebbs and flows. Like what.
Well, I know what I know now. I mean, it's not telling me anything. It's told me everything I need to know. Life has, and I just need to follow what I know. Last week when I was in Seattle and San Francisco doing these songs for the very first time, I caught a really bad cold because it was very cold there, and I wasn't properly prepared for it. 40 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do the show. But I wasn't going all the way out there and have all those people come see me and I don't do the show. Maybe it's going to sound a little different because my voice was crackly because I coughed so much. But the show went on, and
Mm,
I feel like that. I'm not going to play myself out of position and do anything or consent to do anything that I can't do. I I have to give a lot to do the show that I'm doing, because I have arthritis so bad. I was looking at another artist. I won't say who it is because I don't know whether or not it's known, but she's about 15 years younger than me anyway. And I think she has arthritis just from the way I was watching her walk. And
mhm,
I just, as I said, I've lowered the heels. I work out. Uh, Therapeutically, not to look good, to be able to move good and move naturally without, any kind of outside aid. I take care of my voice. I don't do anything to it or with it that I shouldn't do. So many of my contemporaries shot out their voice just from blowing cocaine, which gave you the sense of being able to sing harder than you could. And then when you come down, there's no voice there. So being able to sing, first of all, is a gift. Only birds and about 2% of people can do it. You
mm,
can't be taught to sing. You can only be taught to sing correctly. So I try
mhm,
to sing correctly. I don't have to go through as much as, say, a classical singer would sing because all I have to do is get a sound out and make it soulful.
mm,
But I try to make sure that sound can come out. Yeah, I take so many vitamin supplements, it's ridiculous. And do the workout, try to drink as much water as I can. You see, I'm sitting here, I'm drinking this wine, but I'm drinking water as well.
mhm,
And I don't smoke cigarettes and or do any other added thing that would add to my being old and living the life that I live.
mm,
So I'm going to do it as long as I feel that I don't look awkward doing it. But my
mm,
vanity is not gonna let me do it. No matter how I sound, my vanity is not gonna let me be seen looking awkward. I can be
mm,
a little not jamming on the one. Like in one of the tunes, says I'm still going hard, just a little bit slow.
I love it. So people, now's your chance. Listen to the albums. She's an incredible body of work. And, if you love soul music and you've not heard of Bettye LaVette, it's like an oasis. There's so much great music, past, present, and future coming from this woman. But now's your chance also to see her perform live, support her endeavors. I'll be at the City Winery Philly show. But if you're on the East Coast, or if you're near an airplane, I say come on out. See Bettye LaVette. She's still doing her thing, and she's going to continue to do it until the wheelchair pulls up.
There you go.
So thank you
Oh,
so much.
Michael, I am so happy that you chose the time to talk to me. I want people to know about this album. I'm so glad you've heard it. And it's so good when I can talk to someone who doesn't say, like, what's your favorite color? Know something about me. I mean, you ain't got to know every move I made, but know something about me. And you certainly have. And it's just been wonderful talking to you. I've enjoyed it so much.